Prior to beginning our discussion on how to create wealth, dear friends, review it from this perspective. Allow us to give you a synopsis of what you will encounter in this particular workshop. The How to Create workshop is, from one perspective, will be a practical direction, a practical map to take you to the perspective that you are seeking. But beyond that, it will also give you a perspective that needs to be altered and shifted in order to achieve that which you are looking to achieve. As a result, this particular workshop will be a conglomeration of practicality and philosophy and psychology. And it will help you move from the perspective that you are in presently to the perspective that you would like to be or that you would choose to be. And as a result, therefore, expand your existence. This particular workshop, each session will be a session on expansion. We assure you, it is not a session of contraction. And as a result, therefore, be prepared for the nice ride that we will take you on for the next 6 sessions, dear friends. Now, as to wealth, the methodology, the techniques that you can use to create wealth are numerous. In fact, we would suggest to you, dear friends, that if you went to a local bookstore, you could find approximately 38 to 43 titles, depending on the bookstore, each one designed to assist you on how to create wealth. Many individuals use the power of the mind. Many individuals use methodologies, techniques, affirmations. Some individuals provide you with investment techniques. Some individuals provide you with savings techniques. And some individuals even provide you with techniques that are not quite legal. All designed to help you create wealth. The key, however, dear friends, to creating wealth is not so much the technique you use, and we will describe a few techniques for you that will be of benefit later on in this session. The key, however, dear friends, is first to allow yourself to recognize that you are wealthy. Now, let's define wealth. For many individuals, if we were to say to them, dear friend, you are wealthy, they would say, sure, I don't have 10 cents to rub together. Why would I consider myself wealthy? And we would suggest that by viewing yourself as wealthy, you then begin the process of creating wealth. Now, wealth, the definition of it. Wealth, for the perspective of this particular workshop, is defined as a large amount of money, of talent, of ability, of creativity, of to a degree, abundance, though we will do a session on abundance as well. And as a result, therefore, wealth can be defined in terms that relate to financial wealth, that will relate to emotional wealth, that relate to mental wealth, as well as spiritual wealth. Now, from that perspective, therefore, to begin the process of creating wealth in your existence, we would suggest, dear friends, that each and every one of you begin by recognizing the wealth that you already have. To that end, we strongly suggest that you begin the process of observation. Observe. Now, observation is necessary regardless of what it is you wish to create. The beginning process of creation is to observe. As a result, therefore, observe yourself. And we often suggest that you do this without judgment. Now, the reason we say observe without judgment is that when you judge, you place limits on your observation. You look at something and you say, this is only this big. This is only this large. This is only this adventurous. This is only this wealthy. And so, as a result, you begin to place limits. Now, if you were to observe yourself, for example, from the perspective of wealth, you would observe yourselves, if most individuals would observe themselves from the perspective of judgment and would say, I am not wealthy. I only have $102 in the bank. I am not wealthy. I only earn $1,800 a month gross. By the time it nets out after taxes, the government taking its share, I make a bare $800 to $900 a month. And then the next step, you say, the government is wealthy, I'm not. And so you judge your observations. And in judging your observations, you limit to yourself the perspective that allows you to perceive your wealth. And so the process begins. Now, we suggest observe without judgment. When you observe yourself earning $1,800 a month, see how wealthy $1,800 a month is. Now, to those of you who are listening to this particular recording and in this particular workshop, $1,800 a month is not much money. And you would say, that's barely enough to pay the expenses. And we would suggest, yes. The key, however, is to recognize that for an individual that earns 1 penny a month, $1,800 is massive wealth. For the individual that earns $1 million a month, $1,800 is nothing. Therefore, it isn't that you judge the observation, it's that you simply observe it for what it is. Observe that which you have. When you begin to observe around you, dear friends, you will recognize that you have a vast wealth that surrounds you. You have articles, items. You have inanimate things surrounding you. You own certain things. You rent certain other things. You have the use of certain other things. And then observe yourself even more. Observe your talents. Observe your abilities. Once you begin to observe yourself completely, dear friends, you'll begin to observe the degree to which you are wealthy. The vast wealth you do have. You'll observe that you have a vast wealth of talents, that you can do many things. We assure you there are very, 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 very few individuals in this world that can do only one thing. In fact, we would suggest that there are none. Most individuals can do more than one thing, and more than one is wealth. See the multiplication of it. The key, therefore, is to begin the process of creation of wealth in your existence is to observe the degree of wealth that exists in your existence. Now, the degree of wealth, this is not to judge the degree. This is simply to observe the degree. And when we use this in this particular context, to use the example of $1,800 per month earnings, it isn't to suggest that $1,800 a month is less than or is greater than. It is simply to suggest that that is what it is. And that, therefore, is a degree. And so observe the degree of wealth that exists in your existence, that surrounds you, that is with you. And then, once you observe the degree of wealth that exists, that you have on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels, then, dear friends, you give yourself the opportunity to alter and shift your choices to allow more wealth.